Now we will see one example to understand what is random variable and why do we need them. So let's take a simple example. There is a ball full of candies, and then you want to pick one of the candy. That is our random experiment. So random experiment is to pick a candy or marble, whatever. So, so your outcome would be, each outcome would be that you picked a particular candy. So let's say suppose there are 16 candies, okay? And each of you are unique candies. You can number them or you can do some marks to understand. So each of this, picking of each candy would be one outcome. So a sample space, if you want to understand, if I make this square, it will be divided into 16 uh, outcomes. Okay, each denote picking of a particular candy. Okay, so these are 16. There will be 16 candies. Now you can look at this. Each capital omega denotes. So you can say omega 1, omega 2, omega 3, omega 3 like this, and each omega I would make that you have picked. The outcome is that you have picked a particular ith candy. Okay. Now thing is, see this events picking of ith candy, or even if you don't number them, they are picking a particular candy, right? Like picking a Cadbury chocolate or something like this. So the question is, these are all physical phenomena, and there is no mathematical framework to that, right? There's nothing, no numbers assigned to it. So how do we write these omegas? How do we do any maths or engineering over this, right? We know that for any engineering application, we need to write it in a well understood mathematical framework. So to be able to convert this to a framework, that is where we need random variables, right? So let's see. Suppose we are picking a candy, right? Uh, but we cannot. That's a physical event. It's a physical phenomenon. So, or suppose we pick a candy or a machine picks a candy. It picks it up, right? Yeah. Let's understand. A machine picks a candy, right? Now, machine tells you what it has picked. So, of course, machine cannot describe the phenomena in complete what has occurred. It gives you some kind of indicators, right? For example, it can pick a candy and tell you what is the color of it. Okay, so you'd perform this random experiment, and what you observed is a variable which can be red, blue, or green. Okay, so think that there is a big machine. It picks a candy from the ball and then display on its screen the color of it. So whatever it is displayed, let's call that X. Okay, and let's make it number. Suppose red is 1, blue is 2, and 3. So if it displays 1, it means it has picked a candy which is red. It has, which is 2, it has picked a candy blue, and if there is 3, it has picked a candy of color green. Okay, uh, right. So this is one. If you want to understand this, this is X is a random variable here, right? How? Basically, it takes one outcome and it look at the color of that candy and just displays the color of that candy. It cannot tell if there are two candies of red color. It will tell just red one, right? It doesn't distinguish between these two candies. For it they are same, right? So what it is doing that it is taking each of these outcomes here, okay, and looking at its color and mapping to a number. Okay, so if this is candy is 1, suppose there are 3 values 1, 2, 3. If the candy is this, it maps to 1. If this candy, suppose second candy is green, it maps to 3. Okay, suppose this candy, third candy is also red, it maps to 1. So what you are seeing here is in this particular experiment, the machine is not exactly able to tell the exact what candy it has picked, but instead gives you some information about the event candy, right? So it tells you the color of it. So what does it actually doing in this process? Underlying process that it takes each outcome and map it to some number, which is done in a way that this number here represents the color of the candy. So every outcome is mapped to one of these three numbers. Okay. So if you finally draw it, they all will map to uh, one of these numbers, right? And here, when you observe this x is actually a function of omega, because depending on what outcome actually has occurred, this value would change. If this outcome has occurred, you will see x as 1. If this outcome has occurred, you will see the value as 3. Okay. So when you look at this machine, you will observe one of the variable 1, 2, or 3, right? Instead of looking at actually candy, you will just see one of the number 1, 2, 3, and that somehow denotes the outcome. At least you will be able to tell that if one has occurred, only those number will occur where the outcome is, where the candy is red, right? So you have some information about what candy may have been picked, although you don't exactly know the exact, you don't know the exact outcome. Right, but these outcomes are mapped, and one in this way you have seen. So this X, which shows the color of the picked candy, is a function of the outcome. Okay, because picking a candy is a outcome, and looking at the color of it is a function of outcome. So this X is a function of outcome, and this is what random variable is. That instead of dealing with this outcome, 16 outcomes with a physical phenomena, which we is hard to do in mathematical framework, we now have a very simple line, a very simple format, which is just a integer, a number. Right. What other can be another map, right? Suppose the candy is packed, right? So the machine cannot see the color. But what it can do is it can pick its, uh, uh, it can scan its wrapper and can know the company name, right? In that case, suppose there are Amul and Cadbury. So the company here displays the brand of the candy. So it says either Amul, which we, let's say Amul is 1, and if it's Cadbury, it displays 2. So this is also a map of the outcome, right? So every outcome it takes, which is picking of a candy, it looks at that candy and find out the company name and displays accordingly. So Y is also a map, a function of uh, which of outcomes. It takes one outcome and uh, it's a color, sorry, is the company name it denotes. And whenever you look at this machine, when it performs one outcome, it displays only one of these two numbers. Okay, depending on what it has picked. Here also, in this case also, it only picks one of these number, right? So when I look at the variable x, I see one number, right? And if you repeat the experiment, you may see a different number, right? So that is what is happening here, that every this x looks like a random thing, right? Whenever a outcome happens, you may see a different value of uh, this variable, right? What in mathematically we can see that it's as a function, right? To define this, we will just define a function that for every outcome there is one value of x, right? And when the random experiment happens, one of the outcome occurs, so that is why there is one value of x is what we got, right? And sometimes we also call it sample, right? That when you do this outcome, you got one sample of x. Okay, and the value of that is called is the sample of x. Okay, similarly, when you do this, suppose I got 1, so I will say 1 is the sample of y here. Okay, if I do it multiple times, I will get different samples, right? I will get a sequence like 1 2 1 1 2. This is the sequence of saying that first is the Amul, second is the Cadbury, Amul, Cadbury, like this. Okay, so now you may understand that actually these acts denote some information about what outcome has occurred, right? When I look at the value of x, I may know what outcome has occurred. It gives me some value, right? So this can be like you are doing some experiment and the machine just displays the signals or display one value, right? That is related to the outcome. So you cannot see what outcome has occurred, but you can see exactly one value which is direct is a function of outcome. Okay, so if different outcome has occurred, we will see a different value. But you cannot actually observe the outcome. You can only observe a function of that, right? There are many things like this happen, right? When you operate a machinery, there's a lot of random processes, random things are going on this machine. You cannot observe everything. But if you try to plot the signal, you may see some noise. So that noise is an outcome of the complete random experiment which is going on in the machine. Okay. So this is what a random variable is. Right. Now the next question is, what does the uh, right? So what do we then proceed on these random variables, right? Why we have talked about this specific condition that the map should be such that the pre-image is measurable, right? Let's understand that. So we will take the same example. So let's see. So this was our omega, okay, which was made here of 16 different outcomes. Okay, so these are elements of uh, the different elements. Each one is a omega I, omega 1, omega 2, omega 3, like this. And these are how complete omega is made. Right. Now we said that we want to understand the probability of each subset of omega, right? What is the probability that a particular outcome has occurred, or what is the probability that one of the two outcome has occurred? So I can take any set in this, and I would like to know the probability of that, right? So this is one set, this is another set, right? All this thing. I want the probability of that, right? So if I want to know the probability of this, it's here in this case a discrete probability space. So I can just add this subsets. I'll get the probability of the complete subsets. So what I do is here I make a list of all the possible subsets I want. So this is one subset, I write it here. This is another subset. Let's call it W1. So this is W1. This is another subset. So this is another subset W2. This is another subset, which we also write here. Okay, let's call it, suppose this is W8. So this is W8. Similarly, you will write all 16, right? Then of course, this is also a subset. So you write down all those subsets and all possible combination, which will be 2 to the power 16 here. Those will be, if you make a list of that, that will be sigma algebra, right? And when I have to define the probability measure, right? If I take, I have to assign probability to each of these elements in F. So first I start with the singleton events. I take this and map to a number. This number denotes the probability of picking up this candy, right? Similarly, the second candy will be picked by 1 by 16. So outcome is event that you have picked the second candy is 1 by 16, right? I'm assuming equally probable case, but of course this depending on the machine algorithm or mechanism, this may have different, like one can be like 1 by 8, another can be small, something like this, right? If they are big candies, machine may have a higher chance to pick it, or machine may have some bias. Okay, so that is not our concern here. What is the exact probability? But there is some probability which is consistent with the actual physical phenomena, right? So once we have defined this, we have defined omega, Fn and P. This is our probability space. Now we say this is the underlying probability space which is there, which is actually related to physical phenomena. Now our question is, when machine picks it, I may not see all the outcomes. What I see is a particular number, right, which is the color of it, right? So when I look at this machine, I see one, sorry, when I look at this machine, I see one number. It can be 1, 2, or 3, which denote the color of the this candy, right? So now our goal is, we have already defined this omega fp, right? I don't want to go and do the same probability again. What I want to understand it, if I know this probability space, can you tell me what is the probability that I will see a number 1 in this machine, or I see a number 2 or number 3 in this machine, right? Again, you can do the experiment and try to do it multiple times. And that is the actual physical meaning of this, that you look at this machine and see how many times out of, suppose you do 100 times, and how many times it has displayed 1. If it is 20 times, it means the probability is 20 by 100, right? So that is the interpretation of it, right? But once we know the actual phenomena, actual probability space, constructed on the actual physical sample space, then I would just want to connect them together, right? And they are connected, right? Because this acts as a map of outcomes. So there should be a consistent way to define the probability on this axis. Okay, so to be consistent again, if you look at this, uh, X now has 3 outcomes. If I look at this machine and think that observing the value of X is a random experiment, then you will get 3 outcomes. One is X is 1, second outcome is X equal to 2, and the third outcome is X equal to 3. Okay, so these are all numbers, because random variables are numbers. So you get 3 values, 1, 2, and 3. These are your sample space. Actually, this line is your sample space, and you only get 2 values, 1, 2, and 3 in this case. Okay, so because sample space is a exhaustive list, what you get here is a just 3 number 1 to 3. Or I can also sometimes say the whole complete line is a sample space, and all the numbers except 1 to 3 just don't occur, right? So this way we get a uniform unified approach, that our this new sample space is just the complete real line. Okay, of course it will be better to just say that omega here is uh, actually just 1 comma 2 and 3 is a discrete space, right? Because only 2 3 things can happen. But to make it unified, I would say that the sample space is a real line which includes all number, but only 3 things occurs here, right? Only uh, 3 numbers occurs, and the rest are have a probability of 0. Okay, so they are actually outcomes, but they never happen, right? This is just to make a unified thing, so that we don't have to redefine this omega dash for every new random variable. Okay, now we want to ask, right, uh, what is the probability that X is equal to 1, right? So again, before even asking, so okay, let's understand what is X equal to 1, what is the probability, what is the physical meaning. I already said, we look at this machine, we just want to know, if I do this experiment 100 times, how many times I will see a 1 here, right? That is the frequency approach. But again, in all sense, probability means, if I just do this randomly, what is the chance that I will see a 1 here? Okay, so again, before I even define the probability, I need a sample, I need a sigma algebra also in this. Okay, so it's a real line. So what will be sigma algebra? Sigma algebra will be the Borel set on this line. Okay, so every possible set, right? A list of every possible set on this line, sorry, not every possible set, all the sets of the form union and intersection of countable union intersection of closed and semi-open intervals, those will be in the sigma algebra. Okay, so let's not go too much detail on that, but we know that one of such set would be this set, right? This is a line segment, which is a Borel sigma algebra, which is in the Borel sigma algebra. So it's a Borel set. I want to know what is the probability of that. Okay, what is the probability that X lies in this set. Okay, now you have to understand this is an event, right? Why? Because this is made from outcomes that x can be this, x can be this, x can be this, x can be this, or this, all these numbers. Okay, so ideally, if you look at this, there is only one event which is actually have non-zero probability. Is this only one outcome is actually having non-zero probability? That is just one. Okay, but let us write this as zero point 0.5, 1.5. Right? This is the a set. This is a Borel set in this Borel sigma algebra. And this means that x takes a value between these two, right? Now this is an event, right? Because this is a set of outcome. This is one outcome can be x is 0.5, one outcome is x is 0.6, one outcome is x equal to 1. So this is a set of different outcomes. Okay, so actually if you look at the outcomes who are picking up the candy, right? But you can also think that observing the x and getting different values of x is also an outcome, and they are actually linked random experiments, right? Picking up a candy and then you look at the color of it, uh, that's a linked, these two are linked random experiments, right? That is why the outcomes are also mapped. If you pick a particular candy, you will see a particular color, right? So that is how when I say this is a event, because this actually represents a event, right? So this represents an event that x has become 1, right? Now, to write it more precisely, I would want to understand in omega, in the original capital omega sample space term, what omega this event includes, right? So the event that x, this event, uh, this set is an event because made from many outcomes. Uh, I want to understand what outcomes this event represent. Okay, what? So here, this is just a number, right? It's a set. It's open interval. So how does this connect to the original sample space? Right? Very easy. So this represents when x takes a value between this, right? So let us look at all the outcomes here, right? Such that when they occur, x becomes this, right? So it means when that outcome happen, the machine displays x, right? So when will the machine displays x? When you pick any of the outcome here which are red, then you will see a value which is 1, right? And no other value in between 0.5 and 1.5 can occur, right? Machine can only display 1 in this set, or 2 and 3 which are not in this set. So this event can only occur, when machine picks a red candy, right? Let's understand, let's assume that yeah, let's assume this one, and this one. These three are red candies. Okay, so it means the set which is made from these three, uh, right, the set which are made from these three, let's call it E. That set, this event, right? It's also an event because it's made from outcomes of picking this candy, and this candy, right? So when this outcome occurs, x becomes 1. When this outcome occurs, x also becomes 1. This outcome occurs, then also x becomes 1. So if any of the outcomes here occurs, this event will occur, right? And we know if any of the outcomes of a set occurs, then means that event has occurred, right? So if this is E, this set is E, then if any of the outcome here occurs, then we see E has occurred. So this E has occurred, and also from the previous argument we say when this occurs, this event will occur. So this means this event and this events are equivalent, right? So if this is let's call it as a M event, then this M and E are actually same, right? Just the way of writing is different. Here M is a open interval. Here E is a physical phenomena, right? Which is made from of three outcomes, which each of them is picking a particular candy. Okay, so now you can understand how they are connected, right? And the way to mathematically formulate this is by this way. You said that if you have any event in the Borel, any Borel set, you can say that find all omega such that their map lies in this set. Okay, so if I want have a Borel set B and I want to find the equivalent event, I will say that this is equivalent of a set which is made from all omega such that x omega belongs to B. Okay, here also we see this event. We also all find all those candies when they're picked, the machine displays that, right? So that display is a map of outcome. So this, if you look at, is nothing but the pre-image of B, right? That is why we say that finding all the outcomes which maps to this set, which maps as that the map image becomes part of this B set, is a pre-image of that, and that we write as X inverse B. Okay. So that is why I say if you have a Borel set and you want to find the equivalent event, you just look at the pre-image of that, right? If I ask you another question, if I am given a set E and you want to find what event, what will be the equivalent event in this new space of the machine observation, then that is very easy to get. You take each outcome, find it map. Here they map all to one, and that will be my image. Okay. Right. So that is what is here. Right. Now the next, okay, and the one part which also need to be understood here is that if you look any of the these outcomes, right? Let's take a bigger another set, which is this. It has 1 and 2, right? So if I want to find the equivalent event, means 1 and 2 has occurred. So I want to make sure that 1 has occurred, which means all outcomes where the candy is red, and second would be all outcomes where the candy is blue. Okay, now you can understand when I change the X, I make it Y, right? The event totally change in the for the Y. Suppose it is the company name Amul and Cadbury. Then when I say this set, then it represents the picking of a candy which is of Amul company, right? And that's a different thing. That's a very different event, right? So here this pre-image depends on what is X. Even if you take the same the pre-image will change. Now coming back to the last part, that once we have the idea was we had a omega f and p, and what we found that we mathematically were able to observe a map of this sample space, a particular variable x omega, and we say that to make it unified, I have take the Borel algebra as a sigma algebra. Right. So our goal is to construct a new omega dash and Borel algebra, and of course a probability space such that I don't have to so that I will also have an understanding how does this X happens. Okay. So one question would be, if I want to say no, what is the chance that X is 1? Okay, so that means if I'm looking at this machine, I want to know what is the chance that this machine would display 1. Okay, so I said that I to make it uniform, I take a real line. This is new omega dash, right? And I complete a sigma algebra. So all the possible intervals in this and are in the sigma algebra. Now I want to assign a probability, right? And this probability should be consistent with the original one. So this means when I say that if I take any Borel set here and I want to ask what is your probability of this event, right? This is an event, and I want to ask what is the probability of that event, right? Then, as I said, this event is an equivalent to an event here, which is the pre-image of that. Suppose this is event B. then this will be X inverse of B. So probability of this event should be equal to probability of this X inverse B. Okay, so that is just meaning that there is different way to say this. I want to say that probability that X belongs to B, right? Which means the event that what X is observed is one of the element in B, right? So this B has occurred, this event has occurred, B has occurred, or we say X is in B, or sometimes we denote this format. Px is the new probability measure on B, which says there's the size of the B, right? And this size is the probability the event has occurred, right? One way to say this also is this the probability of all set omega says that X omega is in B. Okay, so this is the pre-image. This is on the original probability measure. Okay, and one last thing which we have to make sure that because we can take any of this so when I take this sigma algebra, I can take any of these events, right? Any of these events, and I just want to say that if I take any of the set and I tell that this is my probability, this means that I should be able to find so if you want the probability of B, you will just say that I need the probability of X inverse of B. Okay, and to be able to say that probability of some set, it means this is original probability measure. This means this X inverse B should be in F. Okay, this should be true for all B. Then only you guarantee that they will be always probability, right? So to say that we have a valid probability measure, all you need is to make sure that this sigma uh, is a sorry, this random variable whatever it takes, the pre-image of any Borel set always exists in F. Okay, and once we make sure, then we can guarantee that there will be always a probability measure.